Hi, thank you so much. I am so honored to be able to take a little bit of time with you guys and dive into one of my favorite topics, which is really thinking about education and measuring what matters. And so, if you hadn't already kind of started about thinking about the word portfolio, I'd love for you to just take about 5 seconds and think about the words that come to mind when you think about the word portfolio. So what we do with what we know and how we share it has never been more important. And globally, there's a conversation about how we're truly measuring student growth in the application of knowledge. Schools, employers, and universities alike are wanting to better understand these three-dimensional skills and the hard to demonstrate and evaluate on paper. Skills like initiative and creativity and innovation. And they're really looking for ways to demonstrate how students think and how they apply that knowledge. Students' abilities cannot be reduced to a score, but rather must be told more as a story. A great example would be when Google goes to interview new candidates to work for them. What are the skills that they're looking for? They're looking for good communication, insights and social awareness, the ability to have empathy, to be great problem solvers, and connecting complex ideas. And that's not just a complex idea within a subject of science, but more connecting concepts in science to real world problems and intersecting math and science and writing and communication. All of that, those types of skills, those things that we're really looking to better understand what our students are doing, to really make these types of skills visible, you need a place where students can express themselves, their experience and their ideas in really unique and dynamic ways, and that's really important. They need that place where they can pull together images that show process and videos of actual work, audio recordings, that's using that reflective voice and their actual voice. The time really is now to make the transition to a more complete record of knowledge. And the way to do that is really through a digital portfolio. So we've been talking a lot about college and future and careers. Does this mean that digital portfolios are only for secondary students preparing for college or university? I really wanted to share this quote because I think as a digital portfolio, we have a great purpose in supporting students as they take off to their futures. But digital portfolios at the core is about empowering learners to understand themselves as a learner, a lifelong learner. So I'm going to give you a second to read this quote, but as you're reading it, I really want you to think about this phrase. So digital portfolios are not only at the foundations of students' higher education and career pursuits, but an integral component of classroom instruction right here and right now. So I'm going to give you a second to read the quote. And some may be a little bit cut off. I'm sorry, I might read it to you if I can't get it all the way on the screen. Education is about so much more than the on-ramp to college or than college itself. It's an ongoing, all-encompassing, lifelong thing. The people who flourish over time instinctively know that or behave in a way that recognizes that. And they keep asking and pushing and expanding. I think this really gets to the core of what digital portfolios are all about. And if that portfolio is really your lifelong learning story, your ideas, your growth, and your body of work, then you want to make sure that your portfolio goes with you no matter where you go. So when that portfolio goes with you from class to class, outside of school to another school, on to college or in a career, your portfolio really should be thought of as your work and your place for life. I like to think about portfolios as not just a tool, but a habit, a way to understand myself as a learner and showcase my work. So I thought I would take you guys through what it looks like to have a portfolio for some of our youngest learners, moving all the way up into what it looks like as a professional. So we're going to take a look at a student named Caden. This is a primary student. And he uses his portfolio as a way to document those early learning experiences. He has his All About Me page, his awards and milestones. He's documenting his reading and writing. He's really just starting to find his voice and capture his interest and document major growth in the things that he's doing. So you can take a look at in his All About Me, you can start to, and he can start to see himself grow and develop. Just trying to make sure we adjust the screen so you actually can see some of the stuff that he's doing in his portfolio. So give me just a second. I'm working on the screen. We have a little delay, so. There we go. Hold on a second. Let's see what we can get to. Sorry about that, guys. So he, as we were saying, he kind of has his portfolio of all his About Me work. And then he comes in and he's documenting stuff that he's done in science and in writing. And he has some of his first writings that he's ever done in school. All the way to stuff that he's doing now where he's planning his writing on paper with a pencil. And then learning how to bring that to life in a very digital way. And so he's now done this paper on the rainforest, and he has an audio clip of him talking about what he's learned about the rainforest. He's created a drawing in it. He has pictures and typed text all in this beautiful digital format that gives him quite the voice. We're going to now take a look at Angela Olson. And Angela is a little bit older student. She's about 15 or so. And her portfolio looks a little different, and it should. A portfolio should morph and grow along with the user. I think that's really important. It needs to be able to be flexible so it can be organized and presented in a way that's meaningful to the author. And that purpose and that meaning and that organization will change as that individual changes. So Angela's starting to find and explore more passions and figure out how to manage her life. She's digging into things like critical thinking and growth mindset and setting goals. This is really her personal space. And it's a personal space for her to pause, to think, and to act. When you think about it, a portfolio naturally supports your goals from your national curriculum when you're really thinking about teaching things like empathy and respect for diversity. There can be places of privacy and exploration in a portfolio, as well as things that can be shared and showcased. So this example takes her into some goal setting that she's done within the platform. And she's documented her reality and her strengths and her weaknesses. And then you can start to see the different pieces of evidence that she's collected from her experiences. Some are inside school in an academic way, and some are more things that are done outside of school, like playing soccer. And she has created different things that show what she's looking at in terms of growing in the goal of critical thinking. So this 8th grade research paper is using all kinds of media that she's pulled her ideas together with her audio and in her embedded web content and her pictures. She has documents embedded in here. But most importantly, it follows with a reflection. Why does this represent my goal? How does this work connect into who I am as a learner in my story? So now we're going to take a look at Darrell. He is a student that's about to get ready to go off to college. And again, his portfolio starts to look a lot different than the other 2 students that we've seen. It's personalized to him. His top row is his academic work. But you'll notice that his portfolio is more than academics. He also has passions, things that he's interested in, his own band. He's exploring different careers. He's actually created something for his college admissions application that he's curated certain pieces out of his portfolio to be able to show off to colleges. We're going to look at Darrell's engineering collection. And he actually has 2 projects captured in his portfolio for engineering. And looking at this defying gravity, so his teacher had provided him a template, a structure that she pushed out to him through his portfolio on those key components that needed to be included while documenting this project. He's getting help with learning that structure and then kind of filling in the pieces from his objectives to his procedures and so forth. And you'll notice along the way that it's rich with kinds of media. We want kids expressing themselves in lots of different ways, whether it's taking a picture of stuff that they hand drew and we're working out math, to taking videos or doing intricate presentations, creating things in apps and videos. Those are all different kinds of media that can be brought together to express ideas. And then, of course, at the end, he kind of has his reflection, which is so important. When I go on to his passive solar home design project, this was something that was created from more of a blank space. His first assignment, his teacher gave him a template. He started to learn the structure of what it means to document process. Now he has a little bit more room and freedom to be able to demonstrate those steps of a project in the way that makes sense to him because he's learned those different components. He has his key features and his budget. You notice that it's really tied to a project that he was passionate about and interested in and did all the research and the modeling that went along with that. In the same way that Caden used his portfolio as a kindergartner and Darrell used his portfolio as that high school student, college students, educators, professionals use portfolios in that same way to continue their learning story. It's so important that we make this process easy for students and teachers to create beautiful portfolios where their knowledge and understanding and accomplishments are expressed completely and accurately. And so I'm going to wrap up by showing what it looks like from an educator perspective to have a professional portfolio. This is Shona Rose, and Bulb is a place where she collects and works through ideas and concepts for her own professional career. She's building different lessons. So you look in here and you can see her writing portfolio templates that she's created for her students. She also has about who she is, and one of the things I love is she has her thoughts and ideas that she's wrestling with and wanting to capture. Things on pedagogy and struggling readers and presentation things that she's doing, summer reading, all these different things that are really, really important to her. She also is doing goal setting, and she's reflecting, and she's capturing learning from conferences and professional development experiences. Bulb for her is this constantly changing and evolving learning journey that's a true expression of who she is. So we're all learners, no matter our age. And looking at those examples from today, I just wanted to kind of recap. When we saw that young student, Caden, he was capturing that early learning and making it visible and seeing what work and learning really looks like. It was his first view into what it would be like to grow in skills. Angela really started to get into the reflecting and the goal setting and taking a lot more control of her own education and how she learns. And then Darrell is making those connections and refining his learning and preparing for his next stage of life. And then finally, as we just saw, Shona really created that instinctive behavior of capturing her ideas and showcasing her professional accomplishments. So as Bruni says, a transcript is just an artificial snapshot of one moment in time. Digital portfolios really do offer a more complete and personal representation of what a student or adult knows and is able to do. My favorite thing is a digital portfolio gets at the heart of learning and helps anyone express, who am I, how do I learn, and what do I know? And it shows it off in a beautiful and complete way. So I know that I'm incredibly passionate about digital portfolios in the classroom, and so if any of these messages resonated with you and you think, I really want to explore what portfolios will look like in my school and really help modernize that learning experience for my teachers and students. We have a great partner. EXP has some sales representatives in Brazil, and we would love for you to be able to reach out to them and explore the conversations of digital portfolios. We've put different contact information in the chat so that if you are interested in learning more about what portfolios could look like in your education setting, we would love for you to continue this conversation. Just appreciate so much of your time. I hope you learned and took away some great ideas from this. And again, don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. Yeah, and we're looking at the chat right now. If anybody has any questions, please leave them in the chat and we can answer those along the way. Give me just a second to read them. So someone asked, how common is it that universities accept portfolios in the admissions process? Just curious. And that's a great question. I think things are changing. You know, a lot of colleges are recognizing that their admissions process has a lot of flaws and doesn't really help match the right kind of student with that university. And so universities are really going after using portfolios as a supplement to their application process. So there are some universities out there that go on a strict portfolio perspective, but a lot of them now are encouraging students to add a portfolio to those admissions. Another question we have from how can school administrators manage the portfolios? That's a great question. So in the Bulb platform, Bulb is a digital portfolio platform, we actually have an administrative dashboard and administrative tools within our Bulb School package that allows administrators to look at the usage and be able to see the things that are published and work that's going on and being able to track that from an administrator dashboard perspective. And so that's really helpful in that school environment when you're looking and trying to better understand how you manage portfolios with that greater audience. So that would be a great thing. If you want to dive into a little bit more of that dashboard and stuff, you can reach out to one of our representatives and they would love to give you a demo. Elementary through high school, how are schools using digital portfolios at different levels and subjects? So I think that is it. So from those younger ages, as we were kind of looking at like through the eyes of Caden's portfolio, we were really seeing it being used as a way to track that growth of learning. So I see a lot in those primary ages. They're really focused on reading and writing, but they're also, don't ever forget within that portfolio that you're giving students and starting that ownership of learning. So allowing them to pick the things that they're proud of and really showcase that starting at a young age. And then getting into middle school, I see a lot of projects and work that's being done there. And it's documenting that process and that reflection of how growth is happening from that perspective, as well as starting to showcase some of your best work, the work that's a little bit more polished. I think what's really neat about digital portfolios is it doesn't take rewriting your curriculum to be able to implement digital portfolios. It's looking at what are the things that kids are doing in class and asking yourself the question, if I didn't have grades and I didn't have a different evaluation system, what would I want to see in a student portfolio where I could look at and say, that student understood that concept, or they're growing in this area, or we need to work on this more. So if you think about it from that lens, I think teachers already have those activities that they're doing in class, and they just need to then pick those key artifacts and have those students put those in the portfolio. So I hope that answered the question. Yeah, so how does digital portfolios support English as a second language? And I think that's great. When you're thinking about English as a second language, you're seeing those same concepts in other educational areas where you're trying to grow in a skill set. And one of the great things about a dynamic digital portfolio like Bulb is that multimedia component. So when you actually have the ability to easily, with the click of a button, capture students speaking and record their voice and put that into their portfolio, and then to record that at different times so that they can go back and hear how much they've grown in that language, and then to be able to incorporate video and see their posture and their facial expressions and how they have taken confidence in the language that they're starting to learn, and being able to see that in video and be able to track that over time. And then again with that writing, right, to have those early pieces of written work that they're doing and to be able to then have evidence of that along the way. And then also have those authentic experiences that they might be capturing while they're on vacation or doing something else that's helping them show, I'm now able to apply this knowledge in a different way and be able to bring that together in that portfolio platform.
Could you give a little more detail on that? I responded with it's integrated, but.
Oh yeah, so somebody asked, what does the integrations look like with Google and Google Classroom? And so that's a great question. We're actually a Google partner, and we have several different integrations that make using Bulb as a portfolio seamless in your classroom if you're a Google for Education school. And so you can single sign on to your platform, and so students don't have to remember another username and password. That's so critical. And then when you get in there, we actually, and we didn't get into the details of what it looks like to create a page within Bulb, but as you're creating these beautiful pages, it's super easy to click a button and add videos and images. And in the same way, when you can have a button in the upper right hand corner that says share this to Google Classroom. And as a teacher, you can create a lesson or a template and click the button share to Google Classroom, and it will create an assignment for you, and it'll share that to your students in whatever classes you choose. And then your students in the same way will have their own portfolios and their own work. And if they need to share that back with you through Google Classroom, they do the same thing. They go into their page, they click the Google Classroom button, and it shares back to Google Classroom. We also have groups, abilities to allow students and teachers to share content with each other and give feedback and really create this interactive, reflective kind of environment. And those groups can be mimicked and copied right out of Google Classroom also. And so that makes things very easy when you use those tools. What else do we have here? I think that's about all. Oh, do we have a new question? What happens with the content when the school leaves, when the student leaves the school?
Great question.
It's an excellent question, and it's something that I think is at the very, very core of Bulb as a digital portfolio platform, because we believe that portfolios should go with you for life. And so if a student has a portfolio that is started in school and they leave that school, whether it's in the middle of the year because they moved away or they've graduated on to the next level, they take that portfolio with them. They just add a personal email address, or if they don't have a personal email, they can add a password. And that account then gets on our free platform for Bulb. But what's really special about our platform and what we offer as a company is that you have access to all of your work. You continue to create and share on Bulb on that free platform, and that work never disappears and it doesn't get left with the school. And so when Bulb really talks about having a digital portfolio for life and it goes with you, it truly does transfer with that student no matter where they go. I think we have another question here.
Beatrice here.
But is this temporary? So what can you do when students leave? I think you might type that while we were talking about the leaving of students. And also I'd like to, and then thinking about it from a commercial perspective. Great. Yeah, we can absolutely help you and kind of talk through what that might look like in your different groups and scenarios. So we'll make sure that we get you some of that contact information so we can have some further conversations. Does anybody else have any other questions? Also, would you like...
having one pathway only is.
Yeah, that single sign-on is really great. And I talked about our single sign-on with Google, which is wonderful, but we also have other single sign-on options and integrations. So if you want to reach out to us and let us know what platforms you're using, there's a great likelihood that we may support that from a single sign-on perspective, as well as other integrations with other learning management systems that you may be using. We have a lot of different partnerships in that area that really make that using that student portfolio and teacher portfolios that individual place, and that allows it to seamlessly integrate within that classroom workflow so that teachers aren't changing their daily flow for the things they're doing in their portfolios versus the other assignments and things they're doing in class. Do we have any other questions? I think that's it. Like I said, we just kind of touched the surface about really the value and what digital portfolios can do for your school. If you want to dig in a lot deeper and start to look at what Bulb offers as a digital portfolio, we would love to do that with you. And the contact information is in the chat. Thank you again so much for your time, and have a great day.